Hello and welcome back, everyone. It's just another day in the life as a military wife. And as this holiday season envelops us and we have Christmas fast approaching and Thanksgiving right behind us, I want to just stop and take a moment and think about all the ways that we have seen service and goodness in our lives, ways that we have been blessed by those around us, and also talk about ways that we can uplift our community and those we encounter as well during this holiday season. So that is going to be the primary focus of this episode. As always, I am your host, Sam Wolf, and you are listening to Life of a Military Wife. This episode actually hit me a few months back, mostly because I like to plan ahead of time for Christmas. It's my favorite holiday, and that just got me thinking about service and helping each other. As a result, I threw out on social media a request for stories from listeners and friends and family about times where they had received kindness and help from others. I want to share some of those stories with you guys. So I'm going to start off with a story from a military spouse named Caitlin. And she says that when she was asked about acts of service, she said, "Oh, so many times. A moment that stands out right now. This time last year, my husband was gone for work and the weather was terrible. It had snowed so much the church meetings had been canceled. Our dog wasn't getting exercise because of the weather, and it was driving me crazy." Now, she also has several little kids, and so sometimes juggling a pet and little kids can be difficult, especially when you're snowed in. So I'm just interjecting because that's context that will help make the story clearer. She goes on to say, "I was having such a hard time taking care of things without my husband there to meet the dog's needs. Another friend had offered to help if I needed anything while my husband was gone. So I called her, since she's great with dogs. She came over to play with our dog. It was a tremendous help. I was able to calm down. It was an important moment in which to have support. Then, after my friend had left, my neighbors came by to my driveway and shoveled the snow and brushed the snow also off my car. I went out to thank them and burst into tears. It had been a hard morning, and then I had had several friends come when I needed them. One that I had had the courage to ask for help from, and a family who had just thought to do something nice for me." And I really just love that because sometimes people have a hard time asking for help, and it's important to ask for help when you need it. But also, it's just really great when you do ask for help and someone is able to help you. And then also noticing those little things that sometimes we can just not catch and doing those random acts of kindness. So the next one is from Rachel. She's a former military spouse. "I have witnessed many acts of kindness, but one of my favorite ones was done for me when I was a young mama with two little boys. I had not had my last son yet. I was in a Walmart checkout buying groceries. I was just a few dollars short, and so I was about to take off a package of diapers and put it back. I did have some left at home to get by on when the lady behind me said, 'Oh, no, you don't, honey. I'll buy them for you.' I told her I wished to pay her back, but she insisted I repay the favor someday to someone else when I could. That just made what was a stressful, icky day into a happy and hope-filled one." And I'm really grateful for that one from Rachel because those, again, it's wonderful and always great to get love and kindness from friends and family, but it just warms my heart a little extra when it's random strangers who reach out and notice those needs. Okay, the last one is from Mel. "When I got into a car accident, a guy pulled over to check if I was okay, and then he not only helped pry open my door so I could get out, but he took pictures of the accident for me and stayed until the police came. He didn't see the accident, so he couldn't have been a witness, and I didn't have any major injuries, so he didn't need to stay. But I was so shaken up, it meant the world to me that he was willing to take time to not just leave me alone and help with the pictures. I wish I could find him to tell him thank you and tell him how much that meant to me. And that really was just it was so fun reading these stories and having these conversations about wonderful like acts of kindness and service that we see in our lives. And I really feel like if we stop and look for them, there are so many of those moments out there. I have been so blessed by that. There was a really sweet former veteran's wife, so former military spouse in one of my areas. She would invite me over for lunch to her house, and her kids were mostly grown. And one time, and I know this doesn't seem like an act of kindness, but it really is. If you're a mom with little kids, one of your biggest fears is going over to someone's house and your kid breaks something of theirs on accident. And I don't know, maybe not. Maybe other people don't worry or stress about those things, but I did. And she had this decorative plate, and it happened to be where my 3-year-old grabbed it and was playing with it and broke it before I could stop him from doing, like, messing with it. And I was just gutted. I was so devastated because I just felt bad. She had gone out of her way to be nice and supportive and have me over, and here my kid had broken something of hers. And she's like, "Oh, yeah, it's no big deal. It, I've got grandkids. It's fine." And she just shrugged it off, and she genuinely meant it, because there's people who will say that and they don't really feel that way, but she genuinely meant it. And it was obvious by the way she treated me and my kids that we were more important to her than things. And that meant so much to me at that time because my husband was away and had been away for quite a while, and I was just struggling because it's hard. It's hard to be the full-time parent and not have someone there to rely on and not know when you're going to get to speak to your spouse and what's going on with them. It's just a lot. And especially when the kids are little and you can't explain to them and they don't really understand why daddy's not home. It just can be really difficult. Actually, I don't even think he was 3. I think he was 2. Yeah, he was real little, real little. And she was just so sweet and kind. I'm so grateful for her being understanding and loving like that. So that's part of what I wanted to talk about. And it's really good to recognize and notice and appreciate those times where we've been served. It helps us to look at the world and recognize that there is good in the world. But more than there is good in the world, we also have the ability to be the good in the world. And that's the other part of what I want to talk about is how we can serve and be a light in this season during Christmas time. Now, one that I've talked about before in the past is giving machines. I love the giving machines. There's this Light the World campaign. It's all about acts of service in the holidays. And one of the things they have is giving machines. And I will put a link into a map so you can find it. But there are giving machines all over the world. Drew Barrymore, I remember she'd covered it on her show a couple years back. Several celebrities have covered it. But basically, what you do, it's like this giant vending machine, and they're all over the world. You go up to the vending machine and you can pick different things to purchase. And then all of that money for that item will go to an organization that provides it. So I think last year we bought a duck and board games. And they vary. Some of these things are like $5 and some things are like $50, but there's tons of options for all different price ranges. You can buy a pair of shoes to be given to someone in need. You can Yeah, buy a duck. My kids just love the idea of buying animals for people because what they do is they actually buy these animals and they give them to farmers in developing nations so that they have ducks. And I think one time we might have bought a rabbit. I don't even know. My kids love buying the animals. I finally talked them into the board games so it wasn't just animals always. But we do this as a family every year. We go to the vending machine, we go to the giving machine, and we pick out a gift, and that is one of our family traditions that I just love. And my kids, oh my gosh, my kids look forward to it. We had the opportunity last year to go with my dad to the giving machine near him, but we're not going to be down with um, him for Thanksgiving this year. And so the nearest giving machine to us is an hour and a half away. And so we're like debating, do we wait until just after Christmas and go when we see family who live closer to a giving machine, or do we drive just an hour, 3 hours round trip to go to the giving machine? And the kids want to just drive the 3 hours to go to the giving machine. So who knows? We'll figure it out. Yeah, but we'll definitely hit the giving machine. Another one, so there was a list. I started putting together a list of things we could do. Oftentimes we think that we have to spend money to do something kind for someone else. We don't always. So I wanted to give you some lists of ideas, things that we can do to help make the season brighter for those around us, to help support our community. A really simple one is saying Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. It feels like there used to be a time where I heard it all the time and people would say that, and now it feels like I just don't hear it as much. So maybe say Merry Christmas to someone. A next one is visiting a retirement home or assisted living home. This one was actually an idea that was given to me by a service missionary that I know. And as a result, our congregation is going to be doing some stuff for a assisted living home. And that just got me thinking about it. I remember going Christmas caroling and just seeing their like eyes bright like light up, and just seeing their eyes light up, and the excitement to have someone come and sing Christmas carols to them. And so I think we might try to do that with the kids this year. We'll just see. There's always more I want to do at Christmas time than I can do. So we'll figure out how much we can fit in. Another idea that a friend gave me, and I think it was actually another military spouse, but I'm not sure on that one, was swap babysitting so that you can wrap presents or shop without your kids around and having to worry about them seeing or interrupting. The other idea is if you don't want to wrap your presents alone, have a present wrapping party with your friends. So, like, kick your kids out of your house with your husband over to a friend's house, and then all the girls come over and wrap presents together. It's an idea. Maybe watch, Muppet Christmas Carol or something while you're doing it. Who knows? Make a party of it. Another one was donate cans to a food bank. That doesn't cost a lot of money, and anything is appreciated this time of year. Food is always necessary and just so important. Food banks can often get wiped out at this time of year and not have sufficient stocks. So that is important. Take a walk with a friend. Oftentimes, this time of year, we can get absolutely busy. And I know I'm saying this time of year a lot. I'm going to work on that. But it can get crazy in the holidays, and we can lose focus on what really matters or just get overwhelmed. Sometimes taking a break and just getting some fresh air, even if it's cold outside, is really, really important. And I say that if it's cold outside thing because I hate the cold. So maybe that's not what I would do, but maybe you don't live where it's cold. Maybe you're one of those blessed souls in the military who's stationed in Hawaii. If so, I'm completely jealous, but that's besides the point. Go for a walk with a friend and just decompress. Another one that was suggested was apologize to someone you've hurt. This one can be a bit of a stretch sometimes. It's not easy to apologize. Sometimes we don't even recognize that we've caused harm. But when we do, and we can sincerely apologize, then it can make a world of difference for that relationship and start the healing process. And that is a completely free, not painless, but free gift that we could give this Christmas. The next suggestion that I have listed is call someone that you miss. And this one is also completely free. And as military families, we are quite frequently stationed away from family and friends. We can sometimes find ourselves completely alone for the holidays. And it's not uncommon to have a friend in the same situation. You may be feeling lonely this holiday season, but there may be someone else feeling lonely too. Stop and make a phone call. Call someone and just chat. Especially I Christmas Day and Christmas Eve can be so hard because oftentimes after all of the hubbub and unwrapping presents or whatever is done, it's so quiet. And that is really been a challenge for me because I grew up with a really large family and a tight-knit community. I'm still, after 10 plus years in the military, not used to quiet Christmases. And there can be times where it has been nice to be able to snuggle up and just read a book on Christmas Day and get a bit of a break. But at the same time, more often than not, I've found myself incredibly lonely. And if you have another friend who you know who is stationed far away, maybe calling them on Christmas Day and seeing how they're doing would brighten their day. Heck, just calling them in general. And you know what? If they don't answer and they're busy, leave them a voicemail. When's the last time you got a voicemail from a real human being you actually wanted to hear from? It probably doesn't happen that often anymore. So, novelty. Okay, so the next one is let a stranger go ahead of you in line. This one's really self explanatory and absolutely free. It doesn't cost a cent. And we're so often in a rush to get everywhere and get everything done and do everything in the holiday season that the thought of letting someone in front of us in line can be an actual sacrifice. So, maybe it's the good thing you can do to show the world that it's all right to be kind to each other and take a break. All right. Next one, be patient with people in working in the customer service sector this time of year. And oh my goodness, yes, please, especially, especially when shopping. I have worked retail, not long because I hated it. And I have worked in the restaurant industry, again, for not long because I hated it. Those were not my cup of tea. And those people, it is a thankless job. Also, for your postal workers, Amazon delivery people, whatever, tell them thank you. Be patient, be kind when your package is not showing up on time. Whoever you're talking to, just give them a little grace because oftentimes, the thing that's going wrong is not their fault, and they may not even be able to completely fix it, and they're just the messenger of bad news. So, a little grace goes a long way in those cases. Next is tell a loved one that they matter to you. Now, there are people who are really great at telling people that they care about, that are important to them, how much they love and appreciate them. And then there are others who find that a little more challenging. Maybe you have a hard time saying that, and so it's writing it down. That would be a little easier. And I don't mean text messages, people. I mean actually write them a note. But if you can, say it to them face to face. That makes a huge difference. And if you can't call them, but hearing that from someone really does make a difference. It can very much brighten your day. So the next one is send a homemade Christmas card to a friend. And yes, the post office still delivers Christmas cards. I know, I send them out every year. I don't hand make them though. That's why I put handmade on there. I saw that suggestion about Christmas cards and handmade ones. I'm like, oh, that's actually really sweet. And maybe let's just put it this way. I'm going to be straight up honest. That might be something you want to get the kids in on. You know, just an idea. Maybe on one of those long days with Christmas break, and those kids are home and bouncing off the walls because they can't play outside and the weather's crappy. Well, get out some construction papers and just let them go to town and make some homemade Christmas cards and send them out. Even if they're not going to arrive by Christmas, I guarantee whoever gets them is going to love them. And they probably haven't had a homemade Christmas card in years, if not ever. So, always a novel thing. There are so many ways that we can be the good and be the light at this time of year in these holiday seasons to show how much we care about those around us and to uplift and brighten our community. So that's my challenge to you this Christmas. Instead of worrying about packages and bows and gifts, and maybe find a way to just show some goodness to your fellow man and be a light in their life. I am so grateful for the wonderful people I've had the opportunity to meet as a result of this podcast. All of the incredible organizations I have been introduced to who selflessly sacrifice on behalf of the military community and its veterans. And I feel like I have the opportunity to share those resources and those stories of these incredible people and their incredible accomplishments with all of you. And that is a blessing for me to see how we can strengthen and uplift each other as part of the military community all year round, not just at Christmas time. So, like I say, always, at the end of every show, let's be the good that we want to see in the world. And, of course, I'm your host, Sam Wolf, and you've been listening to Life of a Military Wife.